if you are facing challenging times, or if somebody you really care about is, I thought, what could I do real quick? Because we're on the internet, that could add some value, maybe give you some perspective, give you just a little bit of a quick plan to really move yourself forward. And I found myself in a position where, everyone in the world was concerned. I'm getting calls from, my barber to a billionaire financial person that I've managed and coached and helped for the last 17 years. So it was affecting everybody. Trillions of dollars disappearing in the stock market, people's nest eggs disappearing, everybody freaking out saying what to do. And then simultaneously the Today Show called and they said, could you come on and motivate people? I thought, oh my God, it's not what I do. Well, can you tell them something that could really help them? And I said, well, yes, I can. And I said, how much time do I have? And they said, well, about 5 minutes. And I thought, oh my God, what could you do in 5 minutes? So I began to think about it and said, well, let's look at what you could do that's really real, that's really simple, but that has really worked for me. I have so many tools and strategies just like you do in your life, but I'm usually the guy that gets the call when somebody's really challenged. And I thought, what if I look at this differently? What if I look at what have I done in my life during my most difficult times? And this might be useful for you too, to kind of look at your own life and say, when I was in the toughest times and I was able to pull myself through, how did I do it? What were some of the elements that made the biggest difference in your life when you did those turnarounds, when you made it through whatever was your toughest times? And all of a sudden, your whole life becomes total uncertainty. And what do you do to turn things around? Well, at the most fundamental level, I did 5 things. And these are the 5 that I invite you to consider and look at your life to either take yourself to the next level, be able to thrive during these difficult times, or turn yourself around so you can begin to thrive. The first thing I believe you got to do to turn yourself around is really take control of your mind, or specifically, you got to feed and strengthen the mind. The mind is an interesting place, isn't it? I mean, fear can take us over. Uncertainty kind of unleashes all these thoughts that make us start to believe very often that things will always be bad, that we'll never be able to turn it around, or that we don't have the capability. It's just the nature of those inner voices that everybody feels at times. Now, maybe you're not feeling it right now, but I'm sure there are times that you have. So to take control of your focus, what do you do? Well, then I was told all of a sudden I had a tumor, or way back when I'm on my own trying to figure out what to do, I realized that somehow to take control of my mind, I had to feed it. That if I didn't feed my mind, I'd be living on the weeds that came around me. I mean, today, if all you do is, pick up your phone, you've got all kinds of messages that are going to get your full attention, or flip on Google and check out the news, or watch CNN, or whatever it is you do, it's constantly coming at us. One of my first teachers, Jim Rohn, taught me something years ago. He said, Tony, every day you got to stand guard at the door of your mind. He said, I'll give you a good lesson. He said, think about this. What if your worst enemy in the whole world came and dropped some sugar in your coffee? He said, what would happen to you? And I was just a 17-year-old kid just getting started. And I said, what do you mean? I'd have sweet sugar. He said, that's right. He said, what if your best friend, with the best intention in the world, dropped 1 drop of strychnine in your coffee? I said, I'd be dead. He goes, that's right. So remember, life is both sugar and strychnine, and you better stand guard at your coffee. Stand guard at the door of your mind, because things feed in there and you start to accept them. They start to become beliefs. You start to make up meanings that take over your life. My fastest way of combating that when I was first brand new, just trying to figure out what to do with my life, was to read. And I was poor. I was literally sleeping in my car, so I'm ancient enough to remember when there wasn't an internet, and when I would go to the library. And I would go to that library, and my whole goal was feed the mind. Feed the mind for at least an hour minimum a day, and sometimes more than that, where I would read somebody's biography. I'd read the story of somebody who went through some unbelievably difficult time and how they turned it around. And it gave me perspective. Or I'd read a book like As a Man Thinketh. If you haven't read it, it's worth reading again and again. You can read the book in about 20 minutes. Or I'd read Man's Search for Meaning, where all of a sudden Viktor Frankl, a man who was literally living at that time in Auschwitz, losing all of his family, and he figured out how to make it through that time and add value. These stories, these things fed my mind something nutritious, something strong. If we are what we eat, we are what we read, we are what we listen to. So reading, listening, feeding your mind is the first step to get out of that place of uncertainty and start to re-tap into your real ability to thrive in any environment. What's the second key? Well, number 2 is you gotta feed and strengthen your body. As simple as that sounds, if you've been around any of my work at all, I believe physiology first. But sometimes even try to feed your mind. You can feed it, but those thoughts keep coming back. What's going to change that mind faster than anything else is a radical change in your body, a radical shift in your physiology. How do you do it? Well, think about this. When times are really uncertain, fear creeps in. And what is fear? Fear is something quite physical. It takes a hold of you when it's really there and intense. We've all had that gut level fear, that dark night of the soul at times where it feels like, nothing's going to work. So how do you turn it around? Yeah, you feed your mind, but you also strengthen that body. When's the last time you really pushed yourself? You went on a run, a slight jog or a walk, but at the end, you pushed yourself for that last 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was, till you felt like your heart was pumping up, like you're going to spit out blood, where there was an intensity in you. When that gets inside you, that physical strength again, that sense of breaking through, every part of you starts to operate differently. Your body changes, so does your mind. What's the third key? Well, that third step is you got to get a role model that inspires you and really shows you the way. One of the biggest things that'll change you once you're mentally and physically strong is you need to believe. You need not just have a sense of certainty, but you got to believe that there is a pathway to get to where you want to be. Whatever it is you want to change, whether it be your body, your mind, your emotions, your finances, your relationship, you need a role model. If you're looking to make your business successful today and you're trying to think, how do I do this in this tight economy? Look around at role models. Who around you is still doing well? There are people. You just got to find them. Look at Zappos. Zappos is a company that only a few years ago was sitting around in a garage, and in this economy, they're thriving, selling shoes. They're going to do $1 billion this year. Or better yet, if you're just feeling like you lost your job, you've lost your home, you've lost your income, your nest egg, or you're facing just unbelievable challenge, then look at somebody like a Nick V. Here's a guy that was born with no arms and no legs. I mean, literally, he can't dress himself, can't move, can't feed himself. He wanted to die. He was totally depressed. And in one day, he figured out a different way of looking at life. He somehow began to strengthen his mind and body, and he got a different role model of what was possible inside of himself. And now he inspires people all over the world. So get a role model that'll inspire you and show you the way. And the fourth key now is you've got to get a proven plan, and you got to take massive action. Don't even worry about a proven plan. There are lots of role models. Hopefully they'll prove it to you, but get a plan. Do something. I tell people all the time, you got to remember the power of massive action. So often in life, people don't begin the journey because they're not quite sure what to do or how to do it right or how to do it perfect. If you want to change your body, get yourself moving. Don't wait for the perfect trainer. Just go out there and move. Put on your shoes and move and get momentum. Just remember, progress equals happiness. If you can start to make progress, if you can get yourself going, even if it's not perfect, if it doesn't work, you know what to do. Just change your approach. If that doesn't work, change your approach. But if there's anything that'll shift your life, that'll get you to thrive in a difficult situation, is take some massive action. Try something else. Change it, try it, move it. I go on and on this, but I want to be respectful to your time, so let me give you the final key, number 5. Number 5, I think, is the most important of all. So just to remind you, first thing you got to do is feed and strengthen that mind. Read, listen, feed the mind. Take control of that focus. Stand guard at what other people are saying. Focus on what it is you're here to give, what you can control, what you can make happen. Number 2, feed and strengthen that body. Remember, fear, uncertainty, they're physical experiences. So the best way to deal with something physical is get physical. Change that body. Go lift some weights. Go for that run. Do something that's going to get you in that state. If you've been to our seminars, you know exactly what to do. But get that hour of power going, that 15 minutes to thrive, if you're familiar with that, to train your body and mind to be strong again. Number 3, make sure you put yourself in that position where you find a role model that's going to inspire you and show you that way. Maybe it's a contrasting role model. You think your life's so tough? Find somebody with tougher who's really turned it around. Or maybe it's just somebody who's really succeeded, that you can now see there is a way. There's a way through. There's a way to make this happen, even in the toughest times. There's always a way. 4, make sure you get yourself into action. Get a plan, take massive action. And then number 5, most importantly of all of them, feed your spirit. Feed and strengthen your spirit. And there's only one way to do that. It's to find what you're grateful for and to take time, whether it be prayer for you or just taking a moment to think about what it is that's so lucky in your life. There's a rejuvenation in our spirit when we stop taking things for granted. And when, most importantly, what feeds your spirit is to give, to find a way to do something for someone else who's worse off than you are. Because what is this all about? It's about strength, and it's about perspective, it's about action, it's about emotion, and it's about heart. And so many people, miss the opportunity to feel like their life makes a difference. I'm a big believer that motive does matter, that why you do something people can feel, that people may be skeptical, they may have their judgments or their fears because they've been through so much, but in my experience, ultimately, why you're doing something people feel. And if you're doing this because some part of you knows that you're here in life not just to get but to give, then there's a spark that happens in other people because they feel the genuineness of that, and there's a spark that happens in you because it reminds you what you're made for.
I want you to look at something right now. Think of some major goal you want, or maybe it's one you're already working on and you have experienced a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. You've experienced a lot of disappointment. Maybe you've already given up, and maybe you just need a little fire, a little encouragement to get back in the game again. Here's what I want you to look at. There are winners, there are losers, and there are people who have not discovered how to win. And all they need is some coaching. All they need is some help and assistance, just a little support. All they need is some insight or a different strategy, a plan of action to make some adjustments that will open up the key to a whole new future for them, that will give them access to the unlimited power that they have within themselves. That's all that they need. So what I want you to do is think about something you want for you, that's real for you, that's important for you, that will give your life some special meaning and power. And I don't even want you to say, I can do that. I don't want you to assume that. See, 5 years ago when I started out in this area, I would not have been able to make the mental leap that I would be up to where I am right now. I don't want you to begin to just psych yourself out. No. I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea you want to move on, you might not have the money, you might not have the education, you might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. It's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself, it's possible. Because what does that do? See, it begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life. Most people operate out of their personal history, out of their memory, things they've done, things they've experienced, things they've seen, things that they have observed. What I'm suggesting that you operate out of a larger vision of yourself. I want you to see yourself doing what you want to do, experiencing what you want to experience, having what you want to have, doing what it is that gives your life some meaning and value. Operate out of your imagination, not your memory. Because whenever you look at where you want to go, I'm wanting to warn you, you will have some conversation back here after you go through the data that you've experienced in life saying you can't do it. And so what you want to begin to do is ignore that inner conversation. Well, most people, ladies and gentlemen, when something happens to them, what they do is they begin to believe that that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. And they can't see the possibility of it being any different. And I'm saying that if you know anybody that had some goal, some dream, something they wanted to do, and they did it, then I'm saying that you know in your heart that if someone has done it, then you can do it. It's possible. And that if someone can make their dream become a reality, that it's possible that you can make your dream become reality. And so as you begin to look at where you want to go, beginning to embrace that, it's possible. I'm blessed and highly favored. I've got a lot going for me. I got some good stuff in me. And it's possible that I can bring my greatness out here in the universe. That I can do what I want to do. It's possible I can write my own book. I can have my own business. I can take the trip and travel around the world. It's possible. I can bounce back from adversity and reinvent my life. It's possible. Regardless of where I am, the things can get better for me. It's possible. I'm thinking about two men right here in Chicago who were fairly successful, similar background, educated. They worked for a corporation for many years, and they were among many people that were laid off. Two guys who were very good friends. One went out looking for a job for several weeks along with the other one, and they faced disappointment and rejection again and again and again. They couldn't find any work, which is the story of many people across this country. One guy stopped. He became discouraged. He stopped going. He stayed home looking at television, became very argumentative and toxic with his wife, drinking beer, getting on the phone, talking to his other negative, unemployed friends. And he just gave up. The other guy kept looking for a job everywhere he could go. Every time he could get an opportunity, kept asking people, networking, checking the newspapers every day. Kept going everywhere he could, trying to find a job. You have too much education. You're overqualified. You won't be here long enough. He kept going. He kept going. He went to a place and said, look here, I tell you what, if you can't hire me, and I know you can use my talents, abilities, and skills, I don't want to sit home and do nothing. Just let me do some volunteer work. You don't have to give me anything, all right? I just want to work. I want to be busy. Guy said, okay, it's on you now, but don't expect me to give you anything. It's okay. This guy came in and worked. He was the first one there. The last one to leave was the best employee there. About 4 weeks later, one of the top managers quit. They were looking for a replacement. Guess who they selected? This other guy. This guy who was volunteering his time. He got the job. What was the difference between the two men? Eyesight and mindsight. Eyesight is judging on what you see. Judging according to appearances. But mindsight is how you interpret what you see. One guy said, it's not possible, it's over, I'm finished. I can't do it. I can't make it. He surrendered. I've faced rejection again and again. I'm not going anymore. There are no jobs out there. But this other guy, he felt that in spite of the no's and rejections, in spite of how bad the economy is, in spite of what the newspapers are saying, that it's possible that somebody somewhere will give me a job. He just kept going, thinking it was possible. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's what we have to do with our dreams.